Can you hear me okay? I see you, Rakwish. Okay, perfect. I was worried about the audio because I have my computer like way pushed to the corner of my kitchen counter. Hi, Copper Top. Okay, I think my sister said your name is Jane. Also, it must be really late if you're in the UK, right? It would be like, so it's 6 p.m. here in Minnesota. I'm guessing it's like, oh my gosh, is it like midnight over there? Or 11 p.m.? Oh my gosh, yep, midnight. Nice. Do you work tomorrow, Jane? Also, Rachie, I'm making a stir fry. And I have the cookbook right here. It's one of my faves. Oh my gosh, Bob made it. Oh my gosh. 9 a.m. in Australia. Oh my gosh. That's so crazy. I'm glad you could make it, Bob. Yeah, I'm a night owl too. I like to joke that I'm only half alive before 12 o'clock noon. The mornings are really rough. Yeah, stir fry is a go-to for me because it's pretty fast as far as recipes go. Yeah, I am a zombie in the morning, most mornings. Some mornings I'm okay. Yes, that is so true. So for this stir fry, I actually have brown rice already on my stovetop that's cooking, and then I just have a bunch of veggies that I'm using. So I have broccoli, which I'm currently cutting up, and then I have mushrooms, green onions, carrots, and then I have some tofu in my fridge, and I'm gonna hopefully get that cut up and put into the stir fry. So that's one of my meals I'm prepping, and then the other one is like a super quick quinoa salad. It's like quinoa, grape tomatoes, Kalamata olives, salt, pepper. I usually have it for lunch because it's like pretty light. It's tasty. It's so fast to make. So that one's like quickly become a fave of mine. Oh my gosh, John is here. Nice. Awesome. Yeah, for those of you who don't know, I have a sister on YouTube. She has an amazing channel. It's focused on curly hair styles, and I even need help and her tips a lot of the time. But you should go over and see Rachel Gore's channel. It's awesome. I thought this would be a really nice live stream activity because I usually meal prep on Sunday evenings, and it's like me standing here in my kitchen for hours, and I don't mind. I love being in my kitchen and cooking food. I was like, it'd be really fun to chat with people while I'm making all this food instead of, just cooking it here by myself. So I'm planning to do these meal prep live streams every Sunday, probably closer to the end of the day, like around 6 p.m. my time, which is when I started today. But, I might go earlier. I might do Saturdays, like if I have a weekend where I'm super packed on a Sunday and don't have time. Wow. Oof, 4 a.m. Bob, I shouldn't say never, but I think I've only seen 4 a.m. Like I've been awake for 4 a.m. Like I think I could count on one hand in my lifetime the number of times that I have been awake at 4 a.m. That is so early. Rach, I think you're good at cooking. I've had some of your cooking and baking, and it's good. Also, it's getting a little toasty in my apartment. So I am just going to quick hop off camera or off screen, and I'm going to pump up my AC. All right. Yeah, I agree, Rach. This is really nice. It's fun to just, I don't know, like do what I normally do, but also have people on a live stream with me. It's just, yeah, I could like easily just meal prep alone, and I really enjoy it, but this makes it way more fun. It's like an event that I look forward to. Yeah, exactly. So fun. Oof. Okay, I think I want to do the green onions next because those are easy. Also, I recently got these bamboo cutting boards because I read another headline that said, oh my gosh, plastics are so bad and they're everywhere. And I was like, okay, great. I have all plastic cutting boards. So I decided to switch up my cutting boards. So I got a set of like 3 bamboo cutting boards, different sizes. And I still have one that's like one plastic one that's black. I use that when I'm cutting up something like beets or raspberries or something that would really stain a wood cutting board. But I've recently been trying to just use bamboo for cutting stuff. Because I figure bamboo is probably better than plastic. Yeah, Bob, I tried to, like, I would say there have been like 5 eras of my life at different ages where I tried to force myself to be a morning workout person. And it was nice having my workout done first thing in the morning. But what I realized was when I got back home and I had like cleaned off and gotten ready to start my full-time job at 9 a.m., all I wanted to do when I sat in my chair at 9 a.m. was go to sleep. I was so tired from waking up early. So I think it's really, really nice if you can like get it knocked out. But I feel like it's just been so rough for me all the times that I've tried to get up early to work out. But I do have friends who, some of them are morning people, so it's no problem. And then others are just like, you know what? I want to get my workout done. I don't care if I'm tired afterward. It just feels so good to, have nothing to do or have your evenings free after work. And I have oh my gosh, I had one coworker, a former coworker, I should say, while I was in grad school. And she's a really accomplished runner. She's already run Boston Marathon, like she qualified for it. And oh my goodness, she would wake up at 4:30 in the morning to get her runs in. And she would say there were times where she would run like 22 miles before 8 a.m. And I was like, that is insane. I don't know how I could possibly do that and then show up to my job and do a good job. So the jury's out. Maybe as I get older, mornings won't be as difficult. But so far, for the first 30 years of my life, mornings have been really rough for me. Interesting. Oh, I didn't know you were a chef. Very cool. Huh. Yeah. Oh. Wow. Wow. John, I did not. I mean, yes, I know that there's some jobs where you have to get in super early, but wow, 6:45 in the morning is like so early. Because for me, as someone who likes to like naturally, like for example, in college, when you can kind of like design your own schedule and you don't have to pick early morning classes if you don't want to. I would always have my first classes begin at like 10:30 or later, and my natural like whenever I would do my homework, it was always in the evenings, same in high school. I would do my homework between like 9 p.m. and like 3 a.m. I felt like in the evening, it just like my brain was finally fully up and running, like 100% great focus. Like I was just, I spent the whole day kind of like getting warmed up. So, man, that is like, I can't imagine having to be in an office at 6:45. That is so early. Oh my gosh. I will say this though. In the times where I have had to get up early, either for a flight or for a special event, or, if I wanted to meet someone early for coffee or I had an appointment before work, like the waking up process was not fun. But once I was like, ready to go, had my coffee, breakfast, and was heading out the door, I have to say, like, the morning hours are so nice and peaceful, and it's still quiet, which it just feels like, the world isn't just like buzzing with activity. So I would say, I don't know. I love the night hours because they're kind of the same way. Like they're quiet, but also I feel like getting a head start on your day mentally just feels so great. Because if you start your day at like 5, 6 in the morning, I feel like there's few things that could really catch you off guard because you've started so early. And then you have like some of these business leaders I've read about are really successful people, and they're like starting their days at 3:30, 4:30. It's amazing. For now, I'm in the night owl camp. I've made that decision based on experience. I'm gonna try to get as much, like, I think I can get these dishes done in about 2 hours. It might take me a little bit longer, but yeah, right now I'm just prepping my ingredients. So currently I'm working on the stir fry. I've got some of the veggies chopped, but I think it'll take me maybe like 10 to 15 minutes to get all of them chopped. And then I'm gonna move on to the quinoa salad because the brown rice for the stir fry is still cooking on my stovetop and it has about 20 minutes left. So while that's finishing up, I'm gonna kind of hit pause once the veggies are chopped and then get to the quinoa salad. And really all that is just rinsing the quinoa, putting it into this larger saucepan. And then that's gonna cook for about 15 minutes and then that one's pretty much done. So yeah, I would say the longest dish that I have to prepare is the stir fry, just because I'm prepping the veggies. I think that's the most tedious part of the recipe. I don't mind it, but I don't know. I prefer just like the cooking process once you can start putting everything together. Chef started at 5. Wow. Wow, that's crazy. I cannot imagine getting up at 3 a.m. for a job. Wow. Oh my gosh. So if you had to get up at 3 a.m., Bob, for those jobs, like, would you? I feel like it would be so hard for me to even think about getting a full night of sleep because naturally, I try to go to sleep by like 11:30 or midnight in order to make my job here, like my full-time job, at like 8:30 a.m. to 9 a.m. But like I think for me it would almost be like an overnight nap at that point if I had to get up at 3. I just don't think I could get a full night of sleep because I would have to go to sleep then. Oh my gosh. Yeah, just so early. Because I try to get at least 7.5 hours of sleep, but ideally it's somewhere between 8 and 9. That always, like, I can't always get that much sleep if I have lots of stuff I have to do in the evening or I don't know, life happens, but that is like a wicked early wake up time. Yeah. Speaking of the like chef and culinary world, so I would say, I mean, I have many favorite celebrities, but I would honestly say like tied for number one, if not number one alone, is Gordon Ramsay. I've just, I grew up watching Hell's Kitchen and just all of his stuff, all his shows. And I was reading somewhere, I want to say it was like Men's Health or it was like a reputable outlet, like media source. And apparently, according to this media source or article, he gets like 3 hours of sleep a night. And I was like, that doesn't seem physically possible for an extended period of time. But I know, like, I have heard, I don't have any like close friends or relatives who work in that industry, but what I know, like what I've heard and read about is like the culinary world often just demands really like late hours. Like there was an episode of Hell's Kitchen, and like if you guys don't know, I'm sure you all know what Hell's Kitchen is, but there's like the red team and the blue team, and it was the blue team that had to do their punishment because the red team won a challenge, and the blue team was like up peeling potatoes at like 1:45 in the morning, and then they had to wake up at like 5 something to bake like buns or muffins for a breakfast service. I was like, okay, if they're peeling potatoes at 1:45 in the morning and then they have to be up baking like baked goods for breakfast for a service, I'm like, that's like no sleep. Like how does anyone function or perform their job at a professional level on that amount of sleep? That is amazing. Wow. So Bob, are you still working as a chef / do you still work in like that industry? Because I feel like I would burn out so quickly if I was in any industry where I could not consistently get enough sleep. I would just be a wreck. I think my performance would tank so quickly that I would not be able to stay in that career long term because I know how much sleep I need on a regular basis. Even after one bad night of sleep, and I'm talking like 5 to 6 hours of sleep, I'm still like struggling to make it through the day. I usually will need to take a nap somewhere in the afternoon if I've gotten poor sleep. Whew. All right, I just rinsed off my mushrooms. So I'm gonna get these chopped up now. I have done 80-hour weeks before. Yeah, wow, that's amazing. Physically, that is just, 40. I can think of times frequently where after a 40-hour work week, that just felt like a ton of work. So doing 80 is wild. Yeah. I was listening to I think it was just like an interview. I don't know if it was a podcast, but I was listening to an interview with Elon Musk because he's known to work just, crazy, crazy hours compared to like the standard 40-hour work week. And he was like, yep, he said something along the lines of like, if you want to do just like big projects and like change the world, basically, you have to work like 80-hour weeks, 90, 100. And I definitely like subscribe to a range of content creators on YouTube. And there's some in the like business and finance niche of YouTube where they're like, yep, you just have to put in all these hours, like 90 hours, 100 hours a week. And it's like, it's impressive how much work they can get done, but also I just know myself at this point where I like working hard, but I also want to enjoy my life too. I think that's where I try to draw the line. Like, try to work hard, but it's not so much the number of hours, but it's like, okay, what was I able to get done? And still have like a good time, still see my family, still see my friends. I just try to work hard, but also enjoy life along the way too. Oh, yeah. Oh, no. Yeah, that must have been so hard during COVID. Yeah, there were certain industries that just were so impacted by COVID. It was wild. Hmm. Yeah. I know that's the thing is like it's like I like the idea of working hard and you have to be dedicated. I also think too like it's kind of what you want it to be. So like there's one content creator who I really really resonate with. His name is Alex Hormozy. He and his wife both are on YouTube. They each have their own channels. And I mean they work their butts off. They I know they scaled a chain of gyms. So like, he's someone who I listen to a lot, and he leans more on the like, just get the work done, put in the hours, and it's like really motivating. So I think it's just a matter of like, how extreme do you want to go? You can go, I think, the full like Elon Musk, like just work like hell. I remember him saying that once, and he like slept in his office, just like did everything he possibly could to just build his business and be successful. And I really really admire people who are so like completely all in and dedicated to whatever it is they want to accomplish. Also like Olympians, good example, like the Olympics just wrapped up today, and it's like those people just they sacrifice so much, like they miss family events and milestones, and they have to say no to pretty much everything. So I have so much respect for people with discipline and they sacrifice. And for me it's just like I am not willing, at least at this point, to go all in to the point where I am like no longer seeing my family, I'm not seeing my friends, I'm like missing all like fun events going on. I don't have any problem saying no. I would say to kind of like routine things like, okay, this event, it'll come up later or it'll be around next year. But I just have this I would say like personal mission to just go after things that I want, but also just have fun and enjoy life. Yeah. Rachie, my sister, who's on this live stream, I feel like she is probably annoyed of me telling her about like, oh, I heard this from Hormozy. I heard this from Hormozy. But I don't know. It's like anyone on YouTube. It's like you find creators that you really resonate with. They say things, you hear them on podcasts, and you're just like, wow, I really like that is such a great like way to look at things. That's a great thing to use to motivate yourself. It's you find the creators and anyone out there who resonates with you and like really provides value for you. So he's awesome. Yeah, don't worry, you'll see me. You'll see me. Don't worry. All right, making progress. I'll be honest, this is like my least favorite step of any of the steps for this stir fry. It's just, I remember making this recipe actually with a friend back in January. It was like early January, right after New Year's. And we were going to go visit one of our friends from school who had just had a baby. Like he and his wife had just had their first baby, like the day after Christmas, and she and I made this exact recipe in my kitchen, like here, and it went so much faster because I had made it so many times just by myself. And I was like, oh man, it is so nice when you have another pair of hands that's chopping veggies and, checking on the rice. Yeah, right now I feel like a sous chef. Just getting all the stuff prepped. Also, so I have been mulling over things I could possibly make to celebrate 1,000 subscribers, because I would anticipate, I'm currently at like 845, and I did, as I'm sure like some of you have seen, I did a 3-tiered celebration cake for my 500 subscriber special, and I want to do something for 1,000 because I think that's like, I'm so excited to hit that milestone whenever it comes. And so I've been thinking like, okay, I think it'll happen sometime in the next like month to 2 months, that time frame. So I have been thinking about things to make. And another like fun fact about myself, I actually, as much as I feature cooking on this channel, I actually prefer baking. There's something about, I'm like trying to put a finger on it. I've thought about this for a while, like why it is I love baking so much. I love cooking too, but maybe it's the precision of baking. It's like watching the batter become a dough or, a cake. But I'm thinking about doing a baked item for my 1,000 subscriber special. Who taught you to cook? I would say my mom taught me to cook. Yeah, I think she's really like the only, because like my dad isn't, he's been learning to cook more like as he's gotten older. Today's actually, well, no, tomorrow's his 66th birthday, but Rachie and I were actually out today celebrating our dad's 66th birthday, which is tomorrow, but we wanted to do it, over the weekend. He has gotten more into cooking and just kind of kitchen stuff later in life, but while he was working, he's now retired. While he was working, he was always busy, like off and on call. And just like traditionally, he didn't grow up learning how to cook. That was just like in his life growing up, that was very much like the domain of the females in the family and in his community. So it was my mom. I'm trying to think of like the first recipes she taught me. I remember learning how to make hard-boiled eggs. So this is another thing too. Like I went vegan when I was 18. And before that, I literally ate like everything aside from like weird body parts. Like I didn't eat like stomach, I didn't eat brains, like no like animal organs. But aside from that, it's like I ate all the meats. I ate bologna, salami, pastrami, turkey, chicken, beef, milk, cottage cheese, like anything you can think of. So I remember my mom teaching me how to make hard-boiled eggs. I loved egg salad sandwiches, so she taught me how to make egg salad. What else? I feel like most of my kitchen memories, though, like from childhood, were baking. Like I loved making these specific blueberry and lemon scones. Like that remains like my favorite baking recipe from childhood. So all the credit goes to my mom. And then I would say like as I got older, like when I went off to college, post-college, I had YouTube. So YouTube was a good resource. I had friends in college who also liked to cook. So we would sometimes like rent out a little kitchen space, go and buy some groceries and just like cook for the day. I just have always really liked it. I think food is super interesting. Yeah. So all the credit goes to my mom. And that's no shade to my dad. He had a different set of skills. Oh my gosh, Yorkshire. Oh my God, cool. Yeah, okay. Yeah, baking is cuter. That's probably why. That's like definitely the girl in me. Oh my God. Okay, Rachel, you said that. And I'm remembering now. So I don't know. I'm thinking of like you, Copper Top, Jane, and you, Bob. So in the United States, we have I don't even know if they still have these things anymore for kids, but I remember having an Easy Bake Oven. Rachel, I think you had one too. And that, like, I think I got that when I was in like maybe first or second grade. So that would have been around, gosh, how old are those kids? Like six, like age like 7 or 8. And that, like, I just thought that was the coolest thing ever because the way it worked, I mean, this is, oh my God, this would have been in like, 2001. So I remember having my Easy Bake Oven and it comes with like the brownie powder kit and then it's like add milk and add this and then you just put it in your little kid oven and then you have this little like brownie, like tiny pan of brownie stuff that comes out. And I just thought that was so like it just like blew my mind as a kid. Also, I apologize if you hear background noise. I live on a busy street, so this happens on like Saturday and Sunday nights where people just love to like drag race their motorcycles and cars down the street. I don't know why. So apologies for that. Yeah, okay. I will definitely make those scones. Like this is okay. Whenever I tell this to my like Commonwealth country friends, they just roll their eyes. But I just as an American, I think that the British royalty is so, and I should say like any country that has like a monarchy that's like from old times, I just think from a historical point that's so interesting that they still exist because we just don't have any of that here in the US, like that we don't have that history. And I remember like making these scones. I want to say it was for I've made them many times, but on one occasion I made the lemon blueberry scones in celebration of Kate Middleton's and then yeah, still Prince William's wedding. I think it was in like 2001 or something. But yeah, I was like, okay, I gotta make the scones. I gotta have my Earl Grey. Like, yeah, it's silly because like some people are like, why? Like, why do you even care? I am such an Anglophile, you guys. Oh my God. I watch a lot of British shows. Downton Abbey is a favorite. Sherlock is a favorite. Oh my God, I could go on and on. But yeah, okay, to bring it back to baking, I think, Rachie, you're on the nose where you do see like the science of the baking happening, like the rising agent, like if you have an acid and then you have like baking soda, baking powder. Ooh. All right, the rice is done. That was the beep that you heard in the background. One thing I remember that's like from my mom, it was just like a little tip that she gave me. That's just, people will say things to you and you remember it forever. And I remember her saying that with baking, you have to be much more precise with your measurements. Whereas with cooking, like for example, this recipe, it's very customizable because it's basically just like a medley of veggies you can like toss together in a pan, roast them, but like say I didn't like mushrooms, you could use like peppers, you could use eggplant. I think you have a much wider range of like flexibility. I mean, you still have to watch so that things don't burn. But for the most part, I think, you can kind of customize things more. Whereas with baking, I can think of so many times where I thought a certain flour would work well, but it had like no rise, or it was too heavy. Like a good example is like almond flour. I thought I could just completely replace traditional wheat flour with almond flour, and whatever it was I was baking might have been like brownies or something. It just was like completely caved in the middle because almond flour is so much heavier than wheat flour. So it just was like, it was so gross. I've had many like cooking and baking lessons where I just thought something would be an easy substitute and it would turn out exactly the same, and it totally did not. Huge fan of British comedies. Also, hi CL Hinton. I've missed some comments. Yeah, I will make a note. I will make those blueberry and lemon scones. I haven't had them in ages. I may have last actually made them for Meghan Markle and Prince Harry's wedding. Again, like, feel free to roll your eyes, but I actually pay attention to this stuff. I know there's like a segment of the British population that wants to completely get rid of the monarchy, and I'm over here in the US like, oh my God, it's so cool. Like, I'm a fan of this. Yeah, British comedy is, I've really grown to love the snark of at least the shows I've watched that are British. It's so funny. Sometimes it's very like underhanded and like subtle, which makes me laugh. And then the very kind of like bizarre comedy of like Monty Python. Because I remember watching those as a kid and I was like, this is so weird. I'm more accustomed to like the slapstick, very like, obvious in your face kind of comedy. So watching Monty Python as a kid, I was like, this is not landing with me. I don't know what is going on here. But I've grown to appreciate the British comedy that I've watched so far. Oh, funny. Yep. Yes. Oh my God. I love that you brought up Vicar of Dibley. I read that right. Yes. Okay. So I have mentioned my wonderful uncle many times on my channel. He lives up like 3 hours north of where I live in Minnesota. And I often go up to visit him. I'll be going up to visit him in like 3 weeks or so for a holiday that we have here. Labor Day. I don't know if you guys have another like Labor Day holiday like we do. But it was my uncle who introduced me to the Vicar of Dibley, and I think that's the same actress who plays the fat lady in Harry Potter, if I'm not mistaken. Whoever the main lady is, I can't remember her name, but I remember watching that at my uncle's house when I was maybe in like college or high school, because we would go up there, and we still go up there all the time to visit him, and she is so funny. Yes, Dawn French. Oh my God. Yes. Oh my goodness. Yep. Another thing, like just, fact about me is I love like entertainment as far as movies and TV shows go. Like I grew up reading Entertainment Weekly. They don't even have the physical print magazine anymore. They went completely online, which is, I understand why. But as a kid, like as a teenager, and I think in college too, I would get Entertainment Weekly. So I would just, I don't know, I would read about these actors and their upcoming projects and shows. So yes, I feel like I know actors and actresses pretty well from reading Entertainment Weekly, but also from like following media, watching tons of shows. Yeah. Oh my gosh, Dawn French. She's someone I haven't thought of in a while, but she is such a gem. Yeah, there is this like, I call them like the old guard of like British cinema and just theater. And it's like Maggie Smith, Judi Dench, Helen Mirren. God, I'm trying to think of some of the like male leads. Some of them now have like passed away, like Robbie Coltrane, aka Hagrid. I don't. Did Sir Ian McKellen pass away? Like, it's so sad we're getting to the point where I'm like, oh my gosh, I've been watching these amazing actors for like my whole life, ever since I was a kid. And some of them I'm like, I think you're still alive, but also like I know you've been around literally for decades and decades. So yeah, I love my movie stars. I'm that kind of person. I do love my celebrities. Drama series. Ooh, nice. Oh my gosh, John Cleese. Yes, John Cleese. Oh, there's some people where I'm like, if I had a magic spell to wave and have you live forever, John Cleese would easily be one of those people. I just love him. Faulty Towers. Yep, I was just gonna say Faulty Towers. American drama series. I don't tend to watch like the criminal shows. It's just like I don't dislike them. I feel like I just gravitate toward. I would say like my favorite type of like movie or show is a historical drama. Like I love like Downton Abbey is the perfect example of that. Like you as an American watching that, I'm like, whoa, okay, so like in the early 1900s, there were these mega wealthy, like landed families that lived in these like pretty much castles, and they had dozens of like staff that lived in their castle downstairs doing all the cooking, all the cleaning, all the driving. Like it's just, I love, and this goes with books too. I would say like over any kind of like medium, whether it's a TV show, a movie, a play, or a book. It's like I love historical fiction where there's a story taking place, but you're also learning about history through the story. It's just so interesting to me. Rowan Atkinson. Oh my God. Lenny Henry. I don't think I know who Lenny Henry is. Yeah, I feel like I have my handful of topics that I could just talk about through a whole dinner party, for a whole day, whole Zoom call, whatever. And like movies and actors and drama in general, 100%. That is one of the topics. Danny John, Jules from Red. Interesting. Colin Firth. Yep. Oh my gosh. Oh, I have not seen. Wait, I have seen Colin Firth. I think I've seen that version of Pride and Prejudice. Interesting. Yep. Oh my gosh, Labyrinth. This is so fun. I love this. So many celebrities live rent-free in my mind, but they've earned it. They've earned their free rent. Okay, so I have finished chopping the veggies. I just put them in this strainer in my kitchen sink so that it's not like the residual water isn't going everywhere. So, thinking strategically. Actually, I think what I'm going to do, I'm going to cut up some tofu to also put in my stir fry, which I have right here. Danny John Jules. I'm going to have to look that one up. I get Colin Firth and Colin Farrell mixed up in my, I know who they each are, and I can see their faces, but just offhandedly, because it's like Colin F, it takes me a second to be like, okay, which one are they talking about? I think so. I've seen the Pride and Prejudice with oh my God, Keira Knightley, and who's that guy? He's in everything. I can't think of his name, but he plays I forget the male lead guy's name. Is it Mr. Darcy? Yeah, I haven't seen Colin Firth in a long time. I think the last time I saw him was in like the King's Speech, maybe, or like Tinker Tailor Soldier Spy. I think he was in that one. Yeah, at least I haven't seen. I don't know if he's done any recent projects. I may have like missed. I kind of haven't been as much in the loop with movies lately, but he's definitely a fixture. Colin Firth was Mr. Darcy twice. Oh, Bridget Jones. Matthew Macfadyen. Yep. Yes. Okay, I feel like Matthew Macfadyen is one of those actors who I see all the time in a million things, but his name doesn't stick for some reason. And I think Matthew Macfadyen was in Pillars of the Earth, maybe. If you guys know that. It's a series of books that they made into a TV series with Eddie Redmayne, who I'm a fan of. What is it? He was in the first of like, it's that like Harry Potter spinoff. Creatures, Beasts, Amazing Beasts or something. Ripper Street. Matthew was with Kira. Yep. Yeah. That's the one I've seen. I don't think I've seen the full Colin Firth, Pride and Prejudice. This is so fun. I love talking about this stuff. My British actors and actresses who I love. All the adaptations of the books I love. So I guess I didn't show you like the tofu brand I was cutting up, but I have a second block here. So I usually just go with this local Min Tofu, firm tofu. I prefer, actually it's extra firm, and I get extra firm just so that it's not like falling apart when I'm stirring the veggies. So now I'm just cutting this up. Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them. Yep. Funny. Yeah, I mean, I love talking about this stuff, you guys. I feel like if I could have gotten like an entertainment like minor in college with how much I would read about like the latest movies, up and coming plays where people were going to be performing. I just love it. This is kind of random, but like speaking of theater and actors and actresses, I once saw Paul Giamatti. If you don't know who he is, he's like a pretty well-known American actor. I saw him perform as, I think it was Hamlet or Macbeth. It might have been Macbeth in red Converse shoes live. I was like, this is an interesting take on Macbeth. My English teachers would not have approved. Spaced with Edgar Wright. I like Edgar Wright and Simon Pegg. Oh, cool. Yep. Nice. Giamatti. Yep. I haven't seen him in stuff lately, but again, like I said, that could just be me like not paying as close of attention to this stuff. I feel like, like now I'm work a full-time job, like, most adults have hobbies, see my friends. So you just have like less time to just sit and read a ton of stuff. Whereas in high school and college, I would just spend like entire days or weekends just like, I could do homework, but I'm just going to read about these movies and these actors and these pop stars. So I feel like I'm still like aware of things going on, but I feel like in high school and in college, I was very, very like on top of what was happening. All right, so the tofu is done. I think now I'm just gonna quickly check my recipe book to see if there's anything else. So I am using this cookbook, which is a present from my mom. I think it was like Christmas 2022, maybe, that she gave this to me. It's called Gimme Veggies Fried Rice. I made an episode about this. I want to say like in February of this year. So I'm just gonna check to see that I've got everything that I need. Okay. Oh, okay. I forgot about the garlic. Sorry, guys. I know I've been chopping for like an hour, or what time is it? Yeah, for an hour, exactly. All right, the last thing I've got to chop is like 4 cloves of garlic. And then I'm gonna start sauteing the veggies. So we're almost done with the chopping. And then I just have my brown rice just sitting on my stovetop. So hopefully you can see that. Actually, before I chop up my garlic cloves, I'm just gonna get my pot that I'll be sauteing everything in ready to go. So I'm just gonna drizzle a little bit of some of this olive oil into the pot. I don't have a wok, like one of those big things that you cook veggies in for a stir fry and other dishes. So for now, I'm just using this like large soup pot thing, and I've always used it for this recipe. All right. Ooh. Nice. Yeah, C.L. Hinton. I grew up watching The Three Stooges with my dad, and that like remains one of his favorite, like all-time favorite comedy troupes or shows. And I still like, I think that just forever impacted my preference for humor. I just love like physical comedy. Okay, so my favorite comedian is Jim Carrey, and people have very strong reactions when I say that, because some people cannot stand Jim Carrey, which is fair. I just think he is hilarious, and I grew up watching all of his stuff. I would say it's like not elevated slapstick, like you said, C.L. Hinton, but it's just like, I think it's his face. Like he looks so, like his facial expressions are so funny, and he's very much an oddball, at least on screen. I don't know much about him in his like off-screen life, but I don't think there's a comedian or actor who makes me laugh harder than Jim Carrey. But some people just think he's like not funny, super annoying, not their style of humor at all. And I feel that way about certain, actors and comedians who other people think are like hilarious. So he is my comedy king. Chopping veggies really takes up. Right? I know. And the thing is, like, at the very least, I like it. Like, I realize, yes, it's tedious. It's, it just can take up a lot of time. But part of me has thought about just doing a lot of this in a vegetable chopper. That would probably streamline things. But like I said, it's enjoyable enough for me where I'm like, okay, I can take this time, chop up my veggies. Yeah, I would say I'm very glad that I think of, like, I really do enjoy being in the kitchen, cooking food, trying new recipes. Because if this were like a chore, I don't know, this would just be so much more difficult to do on a regular basis. I think I would want to just order takeout / delivery like every day if I really, really didn't like cooking. It would be so much harder to motivate myself to go to the grocery store, pick out the food. And that's the thing is I love the whole process. Like I genuinely love going to the grocery store. I love going through the aisles, picking out my stuff. Maybe like sometimes I'll look for like an item or two that's like a little bonus thing, like say it's like a frozen meal that I haven't tried, or like the blueberries are on sale. Like I love going to the grocery store, picking out my food, and then I love the process of like planning a recipe, prepping a recipe, going online and say I want to make a certain dish. There's, at this point in time, you can go on Google, and if you search for like chili, like vegan chili, there's going to be dozens of Google pages that return, they have so many recipes. So I just love looking online and deciding on a recipe. Yeah, the whole process is just really fun. But I know that is not the case for some people. Oof. Coppertop, I was not a fan of him in The Grinch. I mean, as much of a fangirl of Jim Carrey as I am, it just like was not, and maybe it's because it wasn't actually like him. Like he was dressed up as the Grinch. I don't know. That's like a rare case of me not being a fan of a Jim Carrey movie. I would say that and The Cable Guy. Those ones were like weird. Weird for me, but I mean, I remain a fan. I absolutely love that man. I have not seen Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind. That is like one of the few Jim Carrey movies I have not seen. Yeah, I've often thought to myself, okay, to like, respond to what you just said, Seal Hinton, like, right now, I'm happy to like stand on my feet and, do all this work, but like say I have a really busy weekend and I'm thinking about the time that it will take to cut veggies. Sometimes I'm like, you know what? I think I got to go frozen this time because it's all, it's cleaned, it's chopped, it's literally you cut the bag open and you just pour it into your saucepan or whatever. So yeah, it's like sometimes it's just a time decision what you want to do. My brother is a Grinch. Funny. Truman Show. Yep, I love that one is wild. I love the Truman Show. Are so important for folks with disabilities. Yeah, it is a lot of work, just like the time and the energy, especially if you want to do other things with your day. All right, so all the veggies are done now. Thank you. My goodness. Okay. So I'm going to add the garlic, which I just chopped, and then ginger. And I actually prefer ground ginger. I don't really like root ginger. It has like fibers and like I don't like those. So I'm gonna add the garlic, the ginger, and some red pepper flakes into that large pot, which you can see, for just about a minute. And then I will toss in all these veggies in my strainer. So let's get this stir fry going. Yeah, I try to get like a good variety of veggies in any dish that I'm making. Oh my gosh, you know what? This is so sad. I might just save them for later, but I actually had, didn't I? I thought I had like baby bok choy. Where did they go? That's so weird. Did I set them over here. Whoops. That is so sad, guys. I thought I was done. Oh my gosh. To add them or to not add them. I'll at least show you what they look like. CL Hinton, you said colorful veggies, and I was like, oh, my bok choy is so colorful. And then I was like, I did not prep that. Where did I put it? Dang. Now I'm conflicted. Maybe I'll just chop up like 2. I love this stuff. Yeah, you know what? I'm gonna add like 2 of them in here. Or maybe, let's just do 1. I should have remembered, but at this point I'm close to my limit on how much I feel like chopping. So let's grab the other cutting board. And this shouldn't take too long. Ooh, I can smell the ginger cooking in my soup pot, even though this is not soup. I'm going to call it my honorary wok, although it is definitely not a wok. Ooh, okay, so let's get these little leaves of bok choy cut up. But before that, I'm just going to give my garlic a stir. Make sure it's not burning. Yes. The way I think about cruciferous veggies is veggies with a backbone or veggies with a spine. I love how solid they are on their own. I only recently started buying bok choy at the grocery store. It was honestly because I didn't know what it was. I would order these dishes, primarily Asian dishes, from restaurants, and I was like, gosh, I love whatever that thing is, like that green vegetable, like leafy, the bottoms they more kind of look like celery. And I just like did not know what it was, but it tasted so good in the dishes I would order. And then finally I was like, oh my gosh, it's bok choy. I think I might have been at my uncle's house or someone's house and they made something with bok choy. And I was like, okay, that's what that veggie is. I'm adding that to my rotation. All right, we're so close. We are so close with these veggies. Whew. So, all done. Thank you. Ooh, and the garlic is looking nice and browned in here. So, let's get the veggies going. So the instructions in this recipe book say add the mixed veggies and the salt. It's 1/2 teaspoon of sea salt. And then cook the veggies for about 15 minutes. And then after that, I'll add the cooked rice and stir that kind of like you're frying it like fried rice. So I'm going to take my lovely strainer, which now has the bok choy, and throw these veggies into the soup pot. And while those veggies are cooking, what I'm going to do next is get the quinoa going, because that also takes about 15 minutes to cook. And that one is so easy that basically my quinoa salad is just cooked quinoa with some like nice veggies on top. So you really just have to cook the quinoa, and you've done like 90% of the dish. So I am going to, I'm just thinking, I don't think I need this cutting board anymore. Let me just check. No. Okay. So one thing I was reading about these bamboo cutting boards is you shouldn't put them through the wash machine. And it's best to dry them off like as soon as possible, just so the water doesn't affect the wood. So whenever I'm done using my cutting boards, I just try to give them a quick rinse off, and then I'll take a paper towel and just pat them dry, because I want to take good care of my stuff. The goal is always to just buy once and then keep it in good condition so you don't have to buy it again. That definitely doesn't happen all the time, but I really love the look of these bamboo cutting boards. And you know how I said earlier I have that one black cutting board that's plastic? I have it on my list of like upcoming next purchases just for myself to get a black colored like wooden cutting board, because I would like to cut on wood as opposed to plastic, but at the same time like I don't want to like take this, cut a beet or like blueberries or something and just have this become completely stained. So that's an upcoming purchase. And before I forget, I'm going to add some salt to the wok veggies. And this is the salt that I like to use. I think, Bob, you've said before you like the icon of the girl dropping the salt. I've always thought it was a cute logo. All right, so just gonna double check everything here. All right, so I'm gonna ignore the stir fry for the next like 11, 12 minutes while the veggies are cooking and rinse off some quinoa to get that started. If I can find my quinoa. So this is the quinoa I'm using. I'm just reading the comments. Yeah, so far I really like my bamboo boards. I think they're really pretty. So I'll be using 2 cups of this dry, uncooked quinoa for my meal prep. Let's see. And I like to rinse my quinoa in cold water for about 1 minute before I actually throw it in to cook. So I am going to grab my little strainer. I have this little baby strainer that I use for rice and for quinoa. And then I just put the quinoa in my little strainer, and then I take my, hopefully, yeah, you can see the kitchen sink, and then I just rinse it. And I have like one of these extendable sink heads. I don't know what the right word is, but I just use it to kind of rinse quickly. So that's 1 cup, and then I'll do a second one of rinsed quinoa. And I think this might just be the end of this bag of quinoa. Pretty much the end. Yeah. I'll probably just dump all this in, or maybe just save the last little bit for later. Oh. You're welcome, Bob. This is fun. This is like, honestly, this makes meal prepping like 10 times more fun. I already have like a baseline enjoyment of meal prepping. Just, I enjoy it, but it's really fun to like chat with people. So I will be doing this on a regular basis. At least on the weekends. Like my goal is to do this once on the weekend, either Saturday or Sunday. Bye, Bob, if you're heading out. But also I'm thinking about going live like one day during the week. Like I'm thinking maybe Thursdays would be a nice time. I don't know. I'm still playing around with, the schedule, how to do live streams. All right. Cool. All right, so a lot of these recipes I kind of have like memorized, semi-memorized, I should say. That's more accurate. I think I need 4 cups of water for cooking this quinoa, but I'm just gonna double check really quick because I would hate to have the wrong proportion. I'm also going to go stir the veggies so they don't burn. Actually, I want to like put the link in the chat if I can find quickly like the garlicky quinoa recipe that I use. I bet I have it saved. Garlicky. Yep. Okay. Let me just put this in the chat. 5 ingredient garlic butter quinoa. I found this. It was on one of those nights where I just had nothing to eat and was like, what do I do with the ingredients in my fridge? So let's just drop that in the chat if you're curious to see what recipe I'm following. But let me just double check. I believe I'm doing a 2x of this recipe. So I believe that would mean, let's just click the 2x button, 2 cups of quinoa and 4 cups of vegetable broth / water. I usually add my veggie broth base in at the end. But while it's on my mind, let me just show you the veggie broth, like bouillon that I use. It's right here. Better Than Bouillon. And I've featured this several times in my videos. So I am going to add 4 cups of water. Let me just quickly check this recipe. Make sure I do it right. Yeah, if you clicked on the link, if you're just curious to know how this works, it's literally like you add all the ingredients to the pan or to this, whatever you're cooking with, and you just bring it to a boil and then let it simmer covered for 15 minutes. It's like the best easy recipe out there, and it's very healthy too. So I am going to just add everything in here super quickly. So 2 tablespoons of vegan butter. And I love this Country Crock plant butter. Oil bamboo boards. Ooh. Yeah. Okay, so 2 tablespoons, and I'm just gonna eyeball the 2 tablespoons to bring it back to what we were saying earlier. Cooking is not as precise as baking. So I often, if I'm just feeling like I want to move quickly and I don't want to get out my tablespoon or my teaspoon measuring cups or whatever, measuring spoons, I will just eyeball. That was a lot of butter, to be fair. I think that was more than 2 tablespoons. So 6 teaspoons of garlic powder. So I'll put that in next. So that's a lot of garlic, I realize. It sounds like a lot of garlic, but I'm a garlic fiend. So I often will add more garlic than what a recipe calls for. Because it's really good for you too, but I love the flavor. I think that was 6, if not 7. I'm gonna let the veggies cook for maybe like a couple more minutes. And then let's see what else I have to add here. 1 teaspoon of salt. And then the 4 cups of veggie broth. So I'm just gonna eyeball this, and I like my food salty, so I'm gonna add a little bit, I don't know, estimate about a teaspoon. All right. Now, oof. So as you can tell, there's a lot of stuff going on in this pan. So now just 4 cups of water. And to be honest, like it's cutting it a little close in terms of volume with this size of a saucepan because quinoa expands when you cook it. The thing is though, like my brown rice, I feel like most of my, well, all of my large like cooking things are being used right now. So I've made this quinoa in this specific saucepan. I remember the first time though, I was like, oh boy, maybe it's a little bit too small. Add a little more. Yeah, it's pretty full. And then I think what I do is I just put it on, my range top, boil it, and then reduce. So I'm going to take this very full saucepan, Put it on my stovetop and bring it to a boil. Just put this over here. So now back to the stir fry. The quinoa is like a pretty straightforward recipe. Yeah, let's see. Okay. So now, one second. I'm grabbing a bowl. So I'm going to transfer the veggies into this bowl that are cooking. This is pretty hot. And now it's time to cook the rice. It's already cooked. I mean, I showed you the cooked rice a little bit ago, but I'm going to be cooking it again in oil in this soup pot. So now, So I'm going to add 1 tablespoon of olive oil into the soup pot, and then add the brown rice and the soy sauce. And I'm going to be using 2 tablespoons. It's technically tamari, which is brewed soy sauce. Ooh, I am low. I might not have 3 tablespoons, which is fine. It's not a huge deal. I know what I can do, actually. So I have this. I think it's still good. Yeah. So I definitely don't have 3. It might be like just a little bit under 3 tablespoons of tamari brewed soy sauce. So I think I'll add a little bit of this miso paste. I've had it for ages. It lasts so long. I forget when I got this, but it expires January 27th of 2025. So still like half a year to go-ish. So yeah, I'm just to kind of complete the like soy flavor. Since I'm a little bit short on tamari, I'm going to add in a little bit of this miso paste. So let me go and add some oil to the soup pot. And then I will add the rice. All right, time to dump these 2 bottles in there. Now the miso paste. All right, and I'm gonna cook that for about 3 minutes. And then I'll add the cooked veggies. So I'm gonna cook the rice, and then these cooked veggies go back into the pot with rice, and that'll be the stir fry in a nutshell. Yeah, I love miso paste. I had it for a specific recipe. It might have been for like the kung pao tofu I did a few months ago. But I was like, well, I used it for this one recipe, and now I have this whole tub. So what do I do? And I was looking online, and apparently it just will last for so long. So you can just keep it in your fridge. And I've tried to kind of like slowly use it up so that I'm not just letting it go to waste. I found my miso paste in the, gosh, if I'm remembering correctly. So like I walk into my grocery store, and then like I first hit the produce section, and it's like there's like carrots, hummus, dips, and then there's like the tofu blocks, and then there's also like miso. So they kind of have like the soy products. I think they have like edamame there too. So I found it in the produce section with other soy products. I would say like it would probably be where you can find the tofu / edamame. But there's also like in my grocery store, there's also like this one of the aisles, not in the produce section, that has like Asian like sauces, stir fry sauce, like more like packaged dry products like the seaweed snacks. But since this miso is more of like a chilled item, it was in my produce section. Yeah, exactly. Yep, kimchi and sauerkraut. That's exactly where my miso paste was. Oh, I didn't even know that, C.L. Hinton. I'll remember that for next time. All right. Love how this stir fry is looking. So I am going to take these lovely veggies and throw them into the pot. see. Oops. So I'm gonna stir the veggies and the brown rice together for a few more minutes. I'm also gonna add this cubed tofu. I actually just like having my tofu fresh. Like it's fine if it's like pan seared or fried, but I'm just gonna throw this in as it is, like, you know, pretty just fresh out of the package. And then I also, this recipe says you can add chopped peanuts or cashews. I don't have like dry chopped peanuts, but I do have plain peanut butter that's not sweetened. So I'm going to add a little bit of peanut butter because I love, love, love the flavor of adding, you know, peanut, anything into a stir fry dish. Oh my gosh, Copper Top, I am not good at all with power tools or DIY. I can maybe like figure out how to do something, but I wouldn't say that's like my forte at all. So, peanut butter, which is, where did I put it? And if you're curious, I don't know, I don't stick just to one brand of peanut butter, but I have used Justin's in the past. I don't know if it's available in other countries, but I love this brand. It just tastes really good. And I think this one in particular wasn't separated, like the oil doesn't separate from like the solid part of the peanuts. So it just like comes ready to go in the jar. And this one doesn't have any added sugar, that's what I tend to go for with peanut butter. I just want like plain, just peanuts, maybe some salt. But I try to not have the super, super sweet kind of peanut butter. I would say there's so many things I would love to buy for my kitchen to use as like, pots, pans. Definitely a good knife set. I'm lacking in that, but I think it would be nice to have like a huge wok to cook wok veggies in. Because currently, like, I will eat things if they're like cooked, seasoned well. It doesn't have to be perfect. But I feel like the current way that I use my soup pot for cooking wok veggies is they get like pretty steamed instead of like sauteed, that like they would in a wok pan. So I cannot wait to buy a wok. Ooh, this is looking so good. And while the quinoa, so it's taking longer to boil than I thought it would, which is probably fine because I'm worried it might like bubble up over the top. Like I said before, pans were limited, so I went with like a medium-sized saucepan. But while the quinoa is cooking, I'm going to show you how I meal prep for the week using these dishes I have. I'll show you them really quick. They were in my thumbnail that I posted, but I have 5 for lunch, and then I have another set of 5 identical to these 5 for my Monday through Friday dinners. So I just, I try to have at least something prepared for lunch and dinner for Monday through Friday. If I'm honestly like running out of food or I'm getting bored of eating the same things over and over, I will be fully honest, like I'll buy like a wrap or a can of soup to kind of just like mix it up maybe midweek. Like for example, one brand of food I love so much is Amy's. And like I have one of these microwave breakfast wraps with tofu. It's both vegan and gluten-free. So I love just like having something like this on hand in case like, I get to Wednesday or Thursday and I'm like, I just don't feel like eating fried rice again because I've had it for days. Just to kind of like break up the meals, but I try to just eat everything I have. Another example is, I made a grocery run on, I think it was Friday this week. So I just got this lentil soup, which again is just nice to have on hand if I get to a day and I'm like, okay, I need a break, like one day break from stir fry or quinoa salad. It's nice to just have a couple things to reach for to like mix it up a little bit. And say I'm like really not feeling like eating what I've prepped for Thursday or Friday, I can always just like throw this into the freezer and just save it for a few days and then come back to it. But I do really try to make a point of eating everything I make because it's like I went to the trouble and spent the time making the food. I also spent money on the groceries. So that's like one of my biggest pet peeves is throwing out food that I've bought or groceries that I've bought. It's so sad to see your hard-earned wages that you use to buy groceries go into the trash. So I try to avoid that at all costs. So I'm now going to just throw this fresh tofu into the soup pot, which is like, pretty much the stir fry is done. I'm just going to stir these in and then dish up the stir fry in these meal prep containers. Ooh, Happy Pear. I haven't heard of Happy Pear, but I will write that down. I made a point of just setting out a notepad. I know I can probably just watch this chat back when this posts, but I'm just going to write that down. Happy Pear. Oh man, my quinoa is testing the limits of the saucepan. You might not be able to see it, but it's starting to boil. And yeah, it's rising high. Let's say that. But it looks good. And before I forget, I am going to take this soup base, which goes into the quinoa because it called for 4 cups of soup base. I just added the water first. And the way that this soup base works is you add 1 teaspoon for every cup. So I'm going to add 4 teaspoons because there's 4 cups of water in the quinoa saucepan. Shoot, this is an unopened container. I struggle opening these sometimes. I was supposed to be meal prepping myself this weekend. Oh no! Oh, that sucks. Wow. I had one, so we've had like some really hot weather here in Minnesota this summer, like in the past couple weeks. And briefly, I lost power in my apartment, and I was like, oh no. My first thought was like the food that I have in my freezer and my fridge. I was like, I hope the power is not out for a long period of time because there's definitely things that are not going to last if there's an outage for a very long time. Shoot. Jane, I hope you get your freezer. I hope you get your new freezer soon. All right, I'm going to add this now to the quinoa. I'm going to use my teaspoon for this. Come on, teaspoon. There we go. Wow. There's no insulation. Wow. Right. Yeah. right, so I know we're at the 2 hour mark. So what I'm gonna do now is just like do some food prepping now. I mean, I've been doing food prepping, meal prepping, but I'm gonna like lay these guys out and just get my stir fry meal prepped. Yeah. I would say this is the most satisfying part of meal prepping. Yeah, I know. Okay, like going back to trying to reduce the amount of plastic that I have in my home and that I use. I mean, it's everywhere. You can't completely avoid it. I think it's like pretty much impossible. But at the very least, I like having the glass bottom because I do, like to microwave these dishes. And I'd prefer to microwave food in glass and not plastic. So hence why I bought these meal prep containers. All right. And the soup pot is still kind of hot, and I like to lean it against the countertop when I'm dishing it up. But I don't know how heat resistant my countertop is, and I don't really want to test it. So I'm going to just put this cloth down. And I'll give you a quick close-up of what the stir fry is looking like. Hopefully I won't dump it all over my computer. But there is the final product. And for those of you who like your tofu to be sauteed or flavored and then added to your dish, you can definitely do that. It adds an extra step. And I've done that before where I either use tofu or tempeh and I just chop the block up, sauteed it in herbs, salt, olive oil. And so it's like, crunchier when you throw it into the tofu or into the stir fry. For me, I like plain tofu, just, uncooked. It's, raw form. So I just decided to do that today for the sake of time. But I really, it's pretty easy. I just use my spatula and I try to divvy up the food as evenly as I can without making too much of a mess. I'm very excited to eat this. Honestly, this is what happens sometimes. I spend all this time meal prepping for the week, and then I realize I don't have anything to eat for dinner on Sunday, and I'm super hungry because I just spent a marathon, cooking in the kitchen. So sometimes what I'll do is I'm like, you know what? I'm just going to eat Friday's stir fry or Friday's, whatever meal I was prepping for the week. I just take what I have set aside for Friday and I'm like, you know what? I can just go treat myself to Chipotle or takeout or something else on Friday. For dinner tonight, I'm probably going to have that can of lentil soup that I showed you because I don't have a ton of just extra food lying around today. But I am, oh my gosh. The thing with meal prepping is, yes, it's a lot of time invested over a weekend, and weekends, you kind of want to just relax and not do any work. But honestly, during the week, the last thing that I feel like doing after working 8 hours a day or longer, if it was a hard day, I just don't want to be on my feet. I kind of want to just, sign out of work and begin my evening and have my food ready for me to eat. It feels like you have a private chef that's prepared all your meals, except your private chef is you, and it was you the previous weekend getting all of your meals prepped for the week. All right. Ooh, the quinoa is looking good. I was worried it might bubble over. When I moved into this apartment, I actually had never had an oven with electronic, or is that right? Yeah, electric. It's an electric stovetop. And I grew up with gas stoves, and all my apartments I've ever lived in anywhere have all had gas stoves. So I was like, when I moved in, it didn't really matter to me because I've seen them before. My uncle, who I talk about all the time, he has an electric stovetop. I was like, I wonder if this will be hard to get the hang of and if I'll really dislike it compared to gas stovetops. But honestly, I like them both. I don't really have a strong opinion one way or the other. And these ones, the electric stovetop that I've used in this apartment, I have loved. I've had no issues. So we've got our stir fry all divvied up. I just love tofu. It's such a fave of mine. Growing up the way I did, having eaten like every kind of meat you can think of, I remember thinking how weird and gross tofu was because we never ever had it in our house. But my best friend, her mom was and is vegetarian, and so whenever I would go over to her house, we would always have some kind of vegetarian. Well, they would have meat, but they would specifically make a vegetarian dish for the mom to make sure she could eat whatever it was, but with tofu substitution or some meat substitution. And I would try it at my friend's house, and I was like, this is interesting, but it's still kind of weird. And now, of course, being vegan, I just love tofu so much. It's so good. I think there's some people out there who will never be convinced about tofu. They'll always think it's weird. They'll just be like, I cannot justify eating bean curd over meat. It's just too weird. But I've just grown to love it. I love it so much. Your weekend is Monday and Tuesday. Yep, I thank my past self so often where it's like, I didn't want to do it on a Sunday, or, I had to like deliberately carve out time of my weekend and say I wanted to go and do something else that was maybe more fun outside. It's summertime here. So it's like, I could be doing a lot of other things on a Sunday evening, but I thank myself so often Monday through Friday, which are my work days. When I get to the end of the day and I'm like, oh my God, all I have to do is reach into my fridge, throw this into the microwave for 2 minutes, and just sit on my couch and take a break. And I don't have to spend a minute more other than microwaving my food of time in my kitchen cooking stuff. Because it saves so much time during the week. I just love it. I have to push myself to meal prep, but once it's all done, I know. That's the thing. You just have to think about like future you will be so, so, so happy that you invested this time. And honestly, it does. I really think it saves like hours and hours of time, because like weeks where I haven't done any prep over the weekend, say I was just out of town or I was super busy and there just was no way to fit in meal prep. I get to Monday and I'm like, oh my gosh, okay, I have no groceries, so I need to go to the grocery store. I need to do all this stuff after work when I'm free. I have to like figure out what groceries to get. Well, I first have to figure out the recipes I'm going to make, get all the groceries for those recipes, spend time after work prepping, cooking, dishing, getting ready. And then you have like all the dishes you have to do, and it's just, it just gets dragged out. So whenever I can manage it, even if I don't have enough time to prep a whole like Monday through Friday like this, I try to make something. If I just have like maybe 1 hour and I can make a quick batch of soup, a quick rice dish like this. Sometimes I'll make like Ethiopian lentils, like red Misirwat lentils, and just some brown rice, and eat that for a couple days to kind of tide me over. Something. If you can just at least do something to help your future self out, it's so nice. So now that the stir fry is all packaged, I lay them out in my fridge. And then what I usually do, actually, let me back up. I'm going to wait because the bottoms of these are still pretty hot and the racks in my fridge are plastic. So I try to be careful, I don't want to damage anything. So I'm going to let these like sit out and cool for a little bit. And the quinoa timer just went off. I have to push myself. Yep. Yeah, exactly. Yep. That's so true. I love knowing exactly what I'm eating. Like I don't have to wonder. Luckily for me, like I eat vegan and gluten-free most of the time, but all of my dietary choices are based on preference. I'm not allergic to anything as far as I know of. And I feel like that would be, if I was severely allergic to the point where I could like really, endanger my life, that would be tricky. Like just hoping that wherever you ordered food from, like got the order right and they didn't cross contaminate anything and they made sure to omit something that you're like highly allergic to. Yeah, I naturally love being in the kitchen, cooking food, but also knowing all the stuff that went into it, all the ingredients, everything that you wanted to go in there, you put in there yourself. It's a win on so many levels, for me at least. I know people who would hate this. They just would be like, no, I'm not going to spend a minute of my weekend that I worked so hard to get to then stand on my feet for hours and prep all these meals. But I personally love it. Okay, soya. Yep. I know some people are not a fan of soy. I mean, some people who don't like tofu either have texture issues. Yep. 100%. I know. I'm convinced. Yeah. It's just, if you don't like tofu, you just haven't had it the right way. I'll say this. So my dad, he's a wonderful person. I think he just mentally, he just doesn't like the idea of of like a faux meat, like fake meat, when there should just be meat. And I think like tofu and certain things, he's just like, what is that? That's weird. No way. Why are you doing this? So I think he just has like a mental block over certain things, especially vegan things. All right, so the quinoa is looking done. Beautiful. So let's get that in the dishes. And I realize I'm going over the 2 hours that I mentioned. I actually was going to make more food than this, but I was thinking to myself, oh my goodness, there's, like, I'll show you what I was going to make, like, in addition to these two things. So I run almost every day, and I love having like a smoothie ready for me when I get home because I'm tired, I'm dehydrated, and I want something to like easily drink to refuel and rehydrate. So this is an amazing beet blueberry smoothie. It's also from this Run Fast, Eat Slow cookbook, written by just these two amazing women who ran collegiately. And then one of them, I believe, is an Olympian. She won the New York Marathon, or some major, I think it's New York. But they have this beet smoothie recipe. So I like to actually prep a bunch of these smoothies in mason jars, and I have a bunch of mason jars up here in my cupboard. I just ordered a bunch of them, and I put a few in my fridge, and then if I'm making ones for like Friday, Saturday, I'll put them in my freezer because they're easy to just thaw, and then you shake them and then drink them. So I was gonna make some beet smoothie prepped smoothies for this coming week, but I just was like, you know what, I don't have the time. I'm gonna stick to 2 meals. So maybe next weekend I'll do beet smoothies. So let's dish up this quinoa. Oh, interesting. I really, really don't like soy milk, Bob. It's not like, It's not for allergy reasons. It's literally the taste. Oh my God, there's something about it I really, really don't like. And at college or university, the cafeteria would stock the non-dairy milks, and sometimes they would only have soy milk, and I was like, oh my God, no, I really want a bowl of cereal, or I want something to, like, I want a coffee with milk in it, but they would only have soy milk, and there's just something about, I love the flavor of soy, but I don't want to drink it as a milk. Like, I love it in stir fry, I love it in whatever, like as a tofu scramble for like an egg substitute scramble in the morning. But like, oof, as a milk, absolutely cannot stand it. I'll bake with soy milk because it kind of, the flavor gets lost in the baked good. But just drinking it as a milk substitute, I just am not a fan. I've never made homemade plant milk before. That's something, I'm going to write this down. I think it would be good to just like make one as a recipe episode. Milk recipe. Because there's so many like nuts you can use, seeds you can use for plant-based milk. All right. Time to meal prep the quinoa. And this definitely is hot, so I'm gonna, how should I do this? Make some room and get this quinoa dished up. And I'll show you what it looks like. So, fortunately, it did not escape the pan or the saucepan. It stayed in there. Beautiful. Looks awesome. I love lentils and tofu a lot. Oh yeah, I love oat milk. Actually, the very first time I had oat milk was in London. I was there with a friend, just traveling, and we were staying at an Airbnb by this cute cafe, and I asked them what their non-dairy milks were, and it was soy milk and oat milk. So that was a very easy decision for me, but I hadn't had oat milk, so I was like, oh, I wonder if this is going to taste weird, because I was accustomed to almond milk at that point. But I loved oat milk. I was like, I have been missing out on oat milk. What am I doing here? And whenever I go and order coffee from a cafe, I think, what's my rule? I think I get oat milk for hot drinks, and I get almond milk for iced drinks. I prefer the taste of almond milk when it's cold. I love the taste of almond milk when it's hot, because it kind of reminds me of like porridge, oat milk does, when it's hot. And I grew up eating tons of porridge, oatmeal as a kid. I love having oatmeal for breakfast. Oh, Richie, you're back. Did you go live? I'm still here, meal prepping. You missed well, I can show you, but I finished my stir fry. I'm just dishing up my quinoa. Lentils. Oat milk is the hardest to make at home, I find. It loves to turn, ew, yuck, slimy. Oh my God. If there's a way to make me just completely not want to eat something anymore, It's like slimy texture. Oh my God. Whew. No, thank you. I would love to try to make oat milk though. I love oats so much. I would say if there is one single type of food that I eat the most often, it's oats. And I'll show you, like, I love Cheerios. That's just my go-to cereal. And this is made from oats. And then, there's like a bunch of vitamins and minerals they add in here. And then I also just have like a huge container of old-fashioned oats. And what I do if I want to bake something and I don't have flour, I just put a bunch of these rolled oats into my food processor and I'll pulse them down into like a coarse oat flour, and then I'll make like pancakes. Yeah, I cannot get enough of oats. And I also really like muesli, which I discovered in Germany. I lived in Germany for, several times, but I studied abroad there. I lived there for a year. And muesli is this like dry oats medley with like nuts and fruit. And it's so freaking good. Soy milk I would give a miss. Yeah, oat milk is my preference. Rachie, I love live. It's so fun. I just think about like in a parallel universe, I would have been doing the same exact activity, like making the stir fry, making this quinoa, but it just would have been like, me probably would have my TV on, like listening to a show or a podcast. But this is so much more fun. So I'm going to do this regularly. Exciting. Yeah, I love the oat milk that my grocery store stocks. Like, they do a great job. It's wild. I feel like, okay, so I went vegan in 2012. And at the time, this is over a decade ago, people were vegan, people knew what it was, but I think the store options weren't great or not as good as they are now. Definitely with restaurants too. I feel like it was hard at some places for sure. Definitely being on the road, I would say if you're not in a major city. Nowadays it's okay if you're like, in a more rural area, but oh my goodness, I can think of road trips through the US where it was like, okay, our best bet of finding food for me and my sister Rachie, who's vegan as well, it was like go to a gas station and find like pickles, potato chips, trail mix, orange juice, and like a jumbo pretzel and call it good, and peanut butter. Because it was like every food stop you're gonna make is like a burger joint or a diner with, meat products, and maybe you can eat French fries, but that's about it. So things have improved. Options have improved in the grocery stores and on the road. I love it. Okay, so a great example. In my area, of Minneapolis, there's a wonderful French restaurant, and for the longest time, I never went there because I'm like, oh, it's French. It's gonna be hard to have vegan stuff because French food is like cheese, meat, dairy, eggs, like just so I don't think of vegan food when I think of French food. But they make an effort to always have like at least one or two things, like full-blown meals that are vegan with like vegan cheese, vegan whatever. So yeah, it makes me happy to see lots of great options out there. Oh my gosh. Ooh. All right, so guys, we're almost to the end of the meal prepping. And for Rachie too, since you missed it, I'll just show you one of the containers of stir fry. Dun, da, da, da. I'm so proud. Future me will thank me. And now, okay, I'm going to show you how easy these quinoa like salads are that I make. And I'm realizing I did not do a good job like divvying up the salad. Good Lord. let's just move some of this over here. So now I've got the cooked quinoa in the dishes. Thanks, Rachie. Talking of peanut butter, which is the best jelly jam for PBJ Sammy's? We don't have grape jam here. I actually don't like grape. I call it grape jelly, and I cannot tell the difference between like marmalade, jam, jelly, preserve. Like there's a lot of words that I just kind of use together. My all-time favorite, let me see if I can just pull it up and drop it in the chat. It's Saint Dalfour. It's from France. And they stock it. I've seen it in a lot of grocery stores here in the United States. So hopefully, do they call it jam? I get like the raspberry. Oof, sorry, I'm reaching. Raspberries. Okay, red raspberry, Saint Dalfour. Yeah, 100%. This is my top choice. But I'm not sure. I mean, hopefully online they can ship like anywhere because I mean they're from France and they're shipping to Minnesota. But yeah, absolutely, hands down, raspberry is my favorite fruit. Close second is blackberry, and they do have a blackberry variety. So I would say that is my top choice if I'm going to make like a peanut butter and jelly sandwich. Okay, so now, so the quinoa is in the dishes. The next thing I do is just take lemon juice and spritz it on top super quickly, like not a ton. I just go like boom, boom. And I make this quinoa salad like every week because it takes like no effort to make. It's super simple. And then let me grab a few things. Italian seasoning. Okay, so the next thing I add is this Italian seasoning, and it's got oregano, basil, rosemary, thyme, and parsley. It tastes like a pizza basically, like the seasoning. So I just sprinkle this on. Oh my gosh, it smells so good. It just smells like you're at a like pizza shop. Okay. And then I think it's just two more things that I add to the quinoa salad. So I love Kalamata olives. I like green olives too, but I get these Divina brand pitted Kalamata olives. I would second Saint Dalfour my fave. Black cherry. Ooh, yum. I haven't tried black cherry, but I love black cherry and other things. Oh, we're so close, guys. We're so close. So I'll just take this container of Kalamata olives and I'll pick out maybe like, I don't know, 4 to 5 of them and just like roll them out and into each of the dishes. I would say like the stir fry, that was more like cooking and then putting into the meal prep containers. This quinoa salad is really just like a bunch of different pieces that you throw in because it's the quinoa base, but then you're just throwing in the seasoning, the olives, and then I have, I just freaking love cherry tomatoes. I feel like I've rediscovered them in adulthood. I did eat them growing up, but just, I don't know, fell off. But I put those on the quinoa salad as well. I'm definitely hungry at this point. It's getting to the point where I probably am just going to eat one of the food containers that I prepped for myself and just be like, you know what? Go have fun on Friday since you ate that meal on Sunday. I have black cherry in my cupboard. Yum. Oh my gosh. Yeah, I forgot. Wait, Copper Top, you're up so late because you were here at the beginning of this, which was midnight over there. Oh my goodness. That is, I mean, I love it personally because my natural bedtime, as I said before, is between like 2 a.m. and 3 a.m. But obviously, when you work a daytime job, I work roughly 9 to 5 here in the US. That just, I could do it, but I would also be setting myself up for failure at work. So sadly, I can't be a full night owl. Because I gotta show up and do well at work. Yeah, I'm excited for you. Black cherry and peanut, that sounds so good. Oh my goodness. I think I missed some comments here. Raspberry, strawberry, black currant. Yep. Okay, yes, thank you, CL Hinton. They all get mixed together in my head. Which is which? Jam, preserves, marmalade. Oh, that's what marmalade is. Fruit peel. That makes sense. Nice. Oh, funny. Saint Alfour. Yep. I just love it. I think I discovered it in Washington, D.C. I lived there for a year. Nice. All right, so I am almost done. I'm so close to being done with the quinoa salad. So I just like to give my cherry tomatoes a quick rinse off in the in the sink before I throw them into the meal prep dish. So I'm just gonna rinse, and I don't know. I try to just split up this container across the 5 quinoa salad things I've prepped. Whew. So much work, but oh my goodness, so much time saved Monday through Friday. Cool. So just to give you an idea of like how basic this is pretty much what I eat for lunch every day. And I try to keep my lunches pretty light because I've made the mistake of just having a huge meal at like 12 o'clock noon, midday, lunch break. And then it hits me at maybe like 1:30 or 2 p.m. And I just want to nap for the rest of the day. I'm so tired. And I think when I eat less at lunch, like something to tide me over, it just is like enough to keep the hunger at bay, keep me going. But I don't like just have that like food coma hit in the middle of the afternoon when I still have to work, a few hours until the end of the day. I have lived in many places, yes. Oh my goodness, let me think about. So I lived on the East Coast for college, in Connecticut. I lived in Munich, Germany for 1 year after college. After Munich, I lived in Washington, D.C. for a year. And at that point, I was like, you know what? I miss being home. I get sad every time I come home for the holidays or for a family event. And then I have to fly all the way back to wherever I'm living. And I love Minnesota so much. I feel like it's not as well known outside of the US. Like when I was in Germany, everyone knew about like California, New York, Texas, Florida, like the big ones, like the big states. And I was like, well, Minnesota's great too. Like we're close to Chicago. That was kind of my way of explaining it to people, where they're like, where's Minnesota? But all that to say, it got to the point where I was like, you know what? I love where I'm from. I love my family. And I love the pace of life in Minnesota. Like there's tons of businesses here. It's a great place to live though, like great schools, tons of lakes, tons of nature. Yeah, it's just, I was like, you know what? The solution is simple. I am going to move home and live in Minneapolis so I can see my family. and just, be in a place that I love and don't ever plan on leaving. Yep. I'm the same way, Bob. I try to make a point of like getting plant protein in as well. Especially like being vegan, because you can get, like, if you're vegetarian, you can still get some protein from eggs and like dairy products like cottage cheese. But when you're cutting those out too, it's like the last thing I would want to be is like protein deficient, iron deficient. So I try to be balanced, and it's like I run too, so I know I'm like putting strain on my body and you're losing fuel. So it's just like, we're going to try to do this in a way where I'm like still healthy and not harming myself. So that is everything for my quinoa salad. And then the last thing I'll tell you about the quinoa salad is when I actually eat it during the week. What I love to do is I'll just, take one of these out of the fridge, and then I take some of this tahini, and I'll just take a little scoop of it with a fork or a spoon, and I'll just drizzle it on the top of one of these salads. So it's just kind of like a nice little like dressing topping. And like, to go back to your point, Bob, about getting protein in, like this like, honestly, this has 2 tablespoons, or sorry, I should say in 2 tablespoons of tahini, it's 7 grams of protein. So it's like whenever I can fit it in there, I'm trying to just add some protein. And quinoa itself has protein too. So it's a nice lunch that doesn't completely, send me to sleep, and keeps me going throughout the day. So that's what the final quinoa salad looks like. So at this point, I'm just going to get a lid on these guys. And I don't put the tahini on when I prep, because I'd rather this not get like soggy and sticky. I just save the tahini for the day of. Minneapolis, Minnesota. Yeah. Yep. Minneapolis is great. I just love it. I feel like I try to broadcast how great Minneapolis is. A lot of my friends who are from like the big states, like New York, California, Texas, Florida, they're like, okay, Hannah, like, I'm sure Minnesota's okay. Like, Minneapolis is okay, but I mean, come on, how great is it? And I'm like, honestly, it's great. I consider it a hidden gem. Like, people know of it, but I feel like it's kind of flies under the radar. All right. And for my days of the week, I keep the same color. You don't have to. That's just for ease of quickly grabbing stuff. So, like, this is Monday. This will be Monday. Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. And I just line them up in my fridge. I'm going to have to rearrange some stuff just to make room. Oh, this past week, oh my goodness, I was so busy. It just, like, there was no food prepping to be seen. It was not possible with my schedule. So, what do you can see in my fridge? Yeah, perfect. So I just put in my meals. So they're all ready to go. And it makes my week just so much easier. And then I kind of tuck Friday into the back because my fridge isn't wide enough for all 4 or all 5 to sit in a row. So there you go. There's my meals for the week, or for at least, Monday through Friday. All right. Well, that is everything I had planned for this live stream. This was super fun. But now it's, oh my goodness, 8:40. So this went longer than I thought it would. But but I am planning on doing meal prepping again and regularly on Sundays or Saturdays. But thank you to all of you for tuning in. This was honestly so much fun. I can't believe I didn't really have live streams on my radar, but I love having this now as something I'll be doing regularly because it just adds to the fun of YouTube creation, YouTube content creation anyways. Cool. Oh my gosh. Yep. Totally. Yep. Honestly, Twin Cities is great. So great. Well, guys, I am famished from those 2.5 hours of work. This was honestly such a fun introduction to live stream on YouTube. And I'm so glad that my sister, Rachel, who was on this chat earlier, definitely go check out her channel. It's amazing. She's awesome. But yes, this is so fun. I'll be on here at least once a week, but I think ideally like twice a week would be super fun. So I will, oh my goodness, I think I'm going to sign off for now, eat some food, do my dishes. That's like the least fun part of cooking and baking for yourself. I would say I hate doing dishes, but they got to get done. So I am going to eat something and then do my dishes and then call it a night because I got work tomorrow morning. But this was so fun. I love sharing my kitchen with you. And it's, you see it in my videos that I post every Monday. Tomorrow at 3 p.m. like usual, I did a tuna salad sandwich recipe, which uses chickpeas and tofu that I blended together to make that filling. So that was good. I'm a huge sandwich person. Now that I'm thinking about peanut butter and jelly, that sounds so good. So we'll see. Maybe later this week I'll make a sandwich for myself. But thank you everybody for watching. I'm gonna end this stream now, but I will be back on a live stream very soon. So have a good night if it's nighttime for you. Have a good day if it's daytime for you. And I will see you again soon. Bye.